So now I'm going to show you some really cool methods you can use with the string, once it's in a variable of course, and they can be quite useful depending on your situation again. So the first function I want to show you is lower. So to use it, we're going to use our print function again. We're going to input the name of our variable, and then we want to call a function from it, which is called lower. To call a function from a variable, you have to put a dot, and then the name of the function, and then you want to put brackets at the end. And in some functions, those brackets are used to input values into, but not in this one, can simply stay empty. So if we actually run the program now, it's going to print out the phrase which went through the lower function. So what it's going to do is it's going to print out our Python code all in lowercase. So now the second function you can use is the opposite, which is just upper instead of lower. And once again, you don't have to pass any values. You simply play it from the phrase variable. And if we run the program now, it's going to capitalize all the letters. Another thing you can do is you can actually check if a string is upper or is lower. So just like the name says, is upper and is lower are the functions we're going to use for that. Not passing any values again. If we run the program, you can see that we got false twice. And that is because this function returns a boolean, which can be only a value of true or false depending on the result. So the first function is asking is lower. So is our string variable made out of fully lowercase characters? And that is what this function is checking for. And if it's false, it's returning false. Same with is upper, but in this case, it's checking if all the characters in our variable are uppercase. So now actually a really cool thing you can do is you can use multiple functions at once. So for example, we could use the print command again. And now we're going to use lower dot is lower. So now we're using two functions at once. The first one being lower, which is changing our entire variable into lowercase letters. And then the second one, which is checking if our variable is actually all lowercase. So if we run the program now, it's going to print out true. The next big thing you can do with your variables is you can actually check their length. So to do that, let's use the print again. But now instead of starting with the phrase and then adding a function onto it, we're going to use the function, which is called length. To use it, you just write len and then brackets, and into the brackets of that function, you input the value you want to give to that function. So we want to give it our phrase. And what the length function does is it's taking the variable we gave it and it's checking the length of this variable in characters. So if I start the program now, it says 11 because Python code is made out of 11 characters. Spaces count as characters as well, so you should keep that in mind. Also, if you would like to take a single character out of a string, you can do that by simply using square brackets. So we input our phrase again, then square brackets, and what you want to put in here is the index of the letter you're looking for. So indexes are numbers which start from 0, going up by 1, the further you go into a string. So if I want to pick the first letter, I'm going to type in 0. So if I print it now, it's going to say P, because the letter with an index 0, which is the first index in a string, is our P. So for example, if I would want to access this O over here, I would have to count from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we type the index 4 and run the program, it's going to print out our O. You can also do it a bit in reverse. So using the print again, our phrase variable dot index, and then in quotes into the index, you want to input the part of your string that you're actually looking for. So if I input C and run the program, it's going to give out 7 because the C over here in our string is on the 7th index. The index command is giving out the index of the text you're looking for in a string. You could also input more characters into here to look for more specific phrases if you have a really long text or something like that. So for example, if I would write code and then I would start it again, it's again going to print out 7 because the index you're going to get is the index of the first letter in this specific string you're looking for. And just to confirm that it actually works and it doesn't just take the first C, I'm going to change the phrase variable now. And if we run it again, it's going to say 17 because our code starts at the 17th index. And the last really cool function I want to show you today is the replace function. So to actually use the replace function, you want to give it two values. So the first value in quotes, and then a second value also in quotes. So the first value you're passing into this function is the text you're looking for in a string. And then the second value is what's going to replace what you were looking for. So if I wrote here code and then here programming, it's going to find this word code inside of our string and it's going to replace it for programming. So if I run the program now, it says Python programming because it successfully replaced our code word for the programming word. And just if you're wondering, yes, it does work on multiple words. If you have multiple of the same word in a sentence or in a string, for example, just like that. If I start the program right now, it's just going to say Python programming, 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 because we replaced all the code with programming, which isn't a really logical sentence to say, but hey. And yeah, that's it. See ya.